All right, good morning, agents. This is Kevin Lauren. I'm the Director of Training and Marketing here at Alta Realty Group. And today we're going to go over the characteristics of the top producing agents in the country and what they do to be successful. So, emulating success is not a bad way to become successful yourself. So taking a look at what those people do and how they structure their day, what do they do, what's the secret, right? So it's a great idea for us as agents to take a look at that. And so this is a webinar I like to do once a year because I think it's a really powerful tool to just take a snapshot of what others are doing to be successful. That way we can do that. So I do want to apologize. Have a little storm damage with the office here, and so we have a little construction going on, but we will have to just go right through it. So let me pull up my screen here for you guys. And Bill Sides, our corporate broker, will not be joining us today, and Cameron Alley from Clearview Mortgage will not be joining us today. But I do want to take a look at the 10-year Treasury. I think it's always an important thing, at least once a week, that we take a look and we understand where rates are heading. We can look at the graph, and we just have to know these things when our clients ask. So we have to be, provide that value to our clients at all times, right? So we can take a look at this is the 6-month 10-year Treasury, and we peaked out pretty hard back here in October. And it has been steadily, we had a little peak around the first of the year, and then it has been steadily coming back down. So the trend looks good. As Cameron has been saying, he predicts that we should be in much better territory by May, somewhere in there. He doesn't have a crystal ball, but if you've been listening to him for a while, you may question that. I think he actually may have a crystal ball. So anyway, continue to follow Cameron and all his advice. So that is what the 10-year Treasury looks like. That's mortgage land. That's the Kevin Lauren snapshot of mortgage land. I know it's not as in depth as what Cameron does, but without further ado, we're going to switch to our presentation today. And let me share my other screen with you guys. So characteristics of top producing realtors. So RedX did a survey a while back. This is probably, I think, about 6 or 7 years back, but the facts still remain, and so it's still very, very, very relevant. So they kind of boiled down their study to this quote here. So becoming a top producer comes down to proactively prospecting about 7 hours a week, constantly learning, being emotionally resilient, and moving from great to memorable client experiences. So I think that's a really powerful statement there. And so all of these different little things we'll take a look at, but that's pretty interesting that is what they kind of boiled down to. Like, that is what the secret sauce is. So for the past 10 years, RedX, they've been, surveying users, and they found the difference between those that make $250,000 a year versus those who make $70,000 a year. And what they kind of distilled was, it's not that big of a jump, right? So first of all, 100% of those $250,000 a year earners, they had a business plan. So we talked a lot about that the end of last year, the little first part of this year. And so, creating that business plan, being the ship that has the rudder in the water, that way where you're going, really good first step. And so those of you that didn't catch that, you can go to our YouTube channel and check out, I think it was maybe 2 or 3 webinars ago. So $250,000 a year producers prospected on average 4.6 days per week for an average of 90 minutes per day. So they're prospecting. What does that mean? They're doing all those different little techniques that we talk about all the time. Those touches, they're creating those touches. They're sending CMAs out. They're making phone calls. They're sending text messages. they're doing social media posts, they're creating email marketing campaigns and making sure they're going out. They're making sure that their newsletters are going out. They're making sure that their list is up to date. So those are prospecting activities. So 6.9 hours per week on average is what the top producers do to get to that over 250,000 year mark. And obviously, those top producers are making a lot more. This is kind of the bottom. 81% always use a script. Isn't that interesting? So they know what they're going to say to different people while they're prospecting. They have a script. So we have a lot of different scripts in our agent marketing area. So if you need scripts for prospecting, contact me. I can provide you with some very, very cool scripts. So for the 70,000 a year earners, only 82% had written goals and 66% had a written business plan. So not quite as many. They prospected 3.5 days per week on an average of 60 minutes. So not that much less. So just bumping that up a tiny bit is, according to RedX, the key to becoming that, top producing agent. So again, they said the difference between earning 70,000 per year and 250,000 per year is only prospecting 3.5 hours more per week. And of course, we know that's not just that, but that is a great start. So if you're planning on increasing your income this year, well, that's a great spot to start. More prospecting, 3.5 more per week is the goal. And of course, that's 7 hours per week on average, 90 minutes per day, 7 hours per week on average. That's the money spot. So we already talked about creating the simple business plan, super, super important. But you guys can, of course, take a look at all this stuff when I send out the replay. Setting goals, knowing the numbers, planning your day. These are super important aspects of that business plan. So I like to talk a lot about planning my day because any executive or any business person, you need to control your day as much as possible. So if the day is controlling you, if you're just reacting all the time, you're not in control, and it leads to chaos. It leads to just not being in control. So super important to block your time out. And I don't care if you're part of Buffini, if you're part of any, Tom Ferry, any of these mentor programs. It's always about blocking time out. They all preach the same thing. So if you know you're going to be doing prospecting, you sit down and you do your prospecting. And if a client calls, if it's not an absolute emergency, it's very professional to tell that client, hey, do you mind if I call you back at 2 p.m.? Or can I contact you at whatever is the next available spot for you, so you can still continue your prospecting or whatever you happen to be doing at that particular point. So controlling your day and planning your day is really, really important. And so another aspect of that is making sure that at the end of your day, this is what I like to do, go ahead and make sure that you know the most important things that you're going to be doing the following day. And, some people say, before you go to bed, make sure that you know what you're doing the next day. Well, once I, kick out of work, I don't really like to go back. So at the end of my work day is when I like to structure the very next day. So, and you can do it any way you want, but that's my suggestion. Okay, so one little thing right here is a fun thing I always like to talk about. Eat that frog. So according to Brian Tracy, he's got a book that says the frog is the biggest, ugliest task of the day. So always tackle the frog first. So eat the frog. I know Bill talks about that too. So, if there's a certain thing that is just, okay, I hate doing this particular task. I don't like reaching out to clients and cold calling. Well, get that out of the way first, right? And that doesn't mean start at 8 a.m. and bug people, but maybe 10 a.m. You're going to eat that frog. You're going to call those 10 or 50 people or whatever your list says that you need to call. So that's a fun little way to look at that. And it's memorable because nobody wants to eat a frog. Nobody wants to do the bad, task they kind of dread, right? And then again, we went through a lot of these things on the business plan webinar that we had a couple of weeks ago. So down here, top characteristics of a successful realtor. According to 2 large studies conducted by the Texas Realtors Association, the most important predictors of an agent who succeeds in real estate are they have a continuous learning mindset, constantly searching for ways to improve themselves. They're constantly looking for ways to better their business, different systems, perhaps. They have adequate financial reserves. So that's pretty tough when when you're starting out and you don't have that. But the top successful realtors, they make sure that they have reserves because they understand the flow of business, they understand the flow of the real estate market, and sometimes you have to sandbag for the better times. So when you're doing well, you can't just go, okay, I'm just going to go out and buy a Ferrari. You have to make sure that you have reserves and you're able to make it to that next cycle or make it to that next deal, really, right? So making sure you have adequate reserves is super important. They are also, this is, I think all agents can relate to this one. And this is difficult. This is not easy, right? They're emotionally resilient, optimistic, and they handle conflict well. Well, good for them, right? That's really a difficult thing to do. So this is something that is, I like to use the German word Gestalt. This is where you get that pit of, kind of that pit in your stomach, and you're at a certain level and you have to raise that level. Well, these things are really important, learning to become emotionally resilient and optimistic and being able to handle conflict well. That's kind of a lifelong goal, right? But, according to this little study, that is one of the things that the top characteristics successful realtors, that's one of the characteristics that they have. So this is a fun little thing too. It's like being a boxer, you've got to take punches, right? And a real good boxer, Rocky took a lot of punches and then he came back and he wore out the other guy, right, with his face. And so you have to be that resilient Rocky boxer and, take those punches. A lot easier said than done, right? Not easy. All right, so be persistent, of course. Being persistent and having tenacity is important in pretty much everything that you do in life, right? If you're going to be successful, you have to be persistent. Thinking outside the box, absolutely. Doing things that other people don't quite do, maybe you, and there's a couple little examples down here, but, maybe you are going to approach your clients in a different way. So we have some realtors that the only quote unquote marketing dollars they spend is little gifts to their past clients and even prospects. So that's their thing. That's thinking outside the box. You're not, that's not every realtor that does that sends consistent, little, handwritten notes and thank yous and, little Starbucks gift cards. Who does that? Not that many realtors. So that's an example of thinking outside the box and doing a little something different. So that also kind of goes into this next area, creating memorable experiences. That's just exactly what we're talking about. Creating a thing where, your client or your prospect goes, what the hell? That my agent just sent me, a book, some flowers, or my agent just sent me, something, like a little book on, the history of my area that I just bought this property in because I'm from outside the area, or, just little things like that. Those are what I consider creating a memorable experience, right? Something that stands out to your clients. Those are the things that take you from, a 5 to a 7. It just, those are the little things. And it is something that your client will understand and appreciate. You took that time, you're a human, right? You're not just some kind of robot, you're a human, you reached out to them. Of course, reaching out on anniversary dates, when they bought their home, super important. Not enough realtors do that, and it goes so far to retain that client and to make sure that they keep you top of mind, right? Send them a CMA. Hey, just wanted to let you know this is what, this is how your home appreciated in the last year. Who doesn't want to get that information? Okay, so show them you care about their personal interests, right? Again, in this little anecdote, the agent recently went on a listing appointment, and owners were moving to Central California. And they were really excited about moving to Central California. They're not from there. So this guy searched online, found a little book about the history of the area, spent $22, and sent it to them, and away they go. How excited are they going to be to get this little book in the mail? Oh yeah, here, there's Amazon, send it over. Super, super easy to do and memorable. So, and again, this is their little synopsis. So becoming a top producer comes down to proactively prospecting about 7 hours a week, constantly learning, being emotionally resilient, and moving from great to memorable client experiences. So, all of these little tips are very, very good for you guys to emulate. So I'm going to show you guys one more little graphic I've got. So these are little daily items that you guys can do that will create those kind of memorable experiences. So if you can, every workday, send at least one thank you note to somebody on your list, that's a great thing. And it could even be, it could be for anything. Congratulate your past client who got a promotion, or who had a baby or a grandchild, or, their son or daughter graduated from college, or whatever it is. Just a handwritten note, one a day, is simple to do, right? It's not hard to do that kind of thing. But if you put it on your list, you block out the time, and you do that kind of thing, and you do any of these things, you're going to be more successful this year. So add at least one person to your database every day. So we talk about your database and your list being your business, and focusing on making sure you're growing that list every day is a really good way to increase your business, right? Send a personalized property to at least one person a day. So if you have, a list of people that are looking for homes, make sure that you're sending them from your email, and it doesn't have to be everybody. And of course, our agent marketing system, if you hook it up to the MLS, you're able to, have those things automated. So your clients are getting those automated, homes, but do one, personalized property that you're sending them with a little note. Hey, I just came across this property, or I was, looking at this property, and I thought this might be something you're interested in. Something like that. If you do that once a day, you're staying top of mind, and you are also building those relationships. This is kind of a fun thing that some agents are doing, is they're creating a video CMA, right? And so you just do a quick little Zoom capture. There's a ton of different ways to create little, yourself with a video on your computer. So do a quick little CMA and show the person, hey, here's, the value, and, here's some information. So that way they get to see your personality. Maybe you don't have to have yourself on the screen. You can just, it could just be you talking, right? Just kind of like a voiceover. Same thing that I'm doing here, showing you guys, oh, here's a graphic and I'm talking, but you can't see my face. Same kind of thing. You can do a quick video CMA, send that to somebody on your list. So that's an easy, fun kind of activity, especially when business is slow. Those are the kind of prospecting activities that you can do. And then this is something everybody should do. Build next 10 and top 10 lists for your business. So you want to make sure that you have, and some people call it an A list or, a priority list, but make sure that you know who the top 10 prospects are and keep those people top of mind. They need a lot more touches than some of these other ones that are just, oh yeah, I just want to make sure that they're getting in my monthly newsletter. So, keeping that A list really top of mind is very, very helpful. It just makes you focus better, and you don't let certain people fall through the cracks. So very, very important to make sure that you just have that A list, the tip of your fingertips, right? You know exactly who those people are. Number 6 here is engage in at least 10 meaningful conversations each day. Well, that's a great way to start. If you don't know what to do or how to structure your day, that's a great one. Start having some conversations. Routinely add systems to your business. So that's not something that's going to happen every day, but it is something to keep in mind. And that doesn't mean try everything under the sun, and don't get the shiny object syndrome where you're just chasing everything. But you do want to be on the lookout for helpful systems, and you do want to make sure that you're increasing your business by creating those little systems and making sure that you are, staying top of mind with your clients. So I have one last little graphic to show you guys. And this is something that I pulled from Inman. And so this is, things again that top producing agents do, and everybody on this call should do these things. So number 1 on their list was track the business, right? Track the numbers, find out how many phone calls you make, how many clients you have, how many people are on your list, what do you spend, track everything, write it all down, keep it all, in a spreadsheet. So that way you're able to calculate ROI on things like marketing campaigns, right? You know how many mailers you send out, how many emails you send out, how many social media posts that you boost, your exact ad spend for Google. The top producing agents, they track those numbers and they make sure that they know them front and back. Number 2 is reinvest back into the business. Like I said, don't just go out and buy a Ferrari if you get a nice big commission check. Allocate funds that go back into marketing, back into creating client appreciation parties, creating Google ad spend, creating mailers that go out consistently, and budget it for the year. Make sure you have budget for these things. Reinvest back into your business. Top producing agents, that's 100% what they do. And then we already talked about this, but it's great that they also identified this. Time block your schedules. We went over that already very well. Study your local market daily. This is huge. My favorite Alta agents know their markets really, really well. They know exactly how many homes are for sale in their market. They know exactly the average prices, and they study it daily. So you're never caught off guard when a client calls you and says, oh, hey, what's going on with the market? You're saying, oh, well, I don't really know. Let me kind of look into it. No, top producing agents, they know exactly what's going on in their market every day. Consistently communicate with other top agents. It's a great way to, if you're rubbing up against, the top producers, you're going to get information from them. You're going to see how they operate. If you want to soar with the Eagles, you got to kind of hang out with the Eagles, right? So, communicating with other top agents, really, really a great way to do things. Being a part of business groups that top producing agents are part of, get to know those people. Hire for your weakness. So if there's a certain aspect of the business that you're not good at, well, maybe you need to hire somebody that does those things, or hire an assistant to help with the organization or the system execution, or to schedule showings. Maybe, you're just not really good with that stuff. So hiring for your weakness is also an aspect of a top producer. And then 6, well, they just work harder than everybody else. That's perfect, because at the end of the day, none of this stuff's a gimme. Top producing agents, they do work harder than everybody else. They're not lazy. They have their systems in place. They execute them. They block out their time. They know what they're doing on a day-to-day basis. They don't succumb to, the chaos that is easy to, it's easy for chaos to take over, but they don't do that. They maintain their day. They maintain the structure. So those are kind of the tips for today's webinar. And next week on the Wednesday webinar, we're going to have Adam Cleary from Tycor come on and show us some of the Tycor title. They have a lot of different apps. They have a lot of different tools, farming tools that are super, super easy to use and fun. And most of it is free. So Adam will be showing us all that. So looking forward to that. But besides that, agents, I am very, very excited that you guys join us on Wednesdays. I'm really, really happy to have all of our new agents on the line. I know there's quite a few agents that are with us every single week. And so having our new agents and our old agents on the line is just a pleasure. So with that, get out there, make it a great week and a productive week. And we will see you guys on the webinar next week. Bye-bye.